Good morning and welcome everybody to Shop Talk number 36. I'm your host, Robert O'Brien. Thank you for tuning in. Always appreciate you taking your time out of your busy days to tune into the Shop Talk here. We've got a good show ready for you today. My guest is going to be Mr. VJ. He is at Shellac Finishes and he is the inventor and creator of Royal Lac. Probably some of you have used this product before. So have your finishing questions and Royal Lac questions ready to go. I want to say thank you to Jim Deeming for the wonderful theme music that we're using here on the Shop Talk live stream. Jim is a wonderful fingerstyle player right here in Berthoud, Colorado. If you ever get a chance to see him live, it's well worth the effort. Make sure you tune into him. Also want to say thank you to our sponsors. And I'm not even going to show my iPad here. Let me bring up a screen here. These are the sponsors at the Lutherie Academy. And if these folks go out of business, we got problems. So make sure that you support them. Glue Boost, Acoustic Coffee, StewMac, Elevate Lutherie has some fantastic jigs and templates. Oneida Dust Collection Systems, we talked about them recently in a newsletter. Total Vice and Pacific Rim Tone Woods. Please make sure that you, if you need a product or a service, make sure you use these folks because we learned recently when LMI announced that they're going out of business that a lot of people started scrambling, myself included. They've been supplying kits to me for 25 years and now all of a sudden I'm looking for a kit supplier. So make sure you support these folks, please. Also in the chat box, make sure that you put where you're from. I love seeing where everybody's from. I go back and watch these streams after the fact, and I love seeing where everybody's from. We got folks from all over the world here. Cesar and Manuela are all the way down there in Brazil. I'm going to bring them on the screen here. They always look like they are in my... always look like they're in my shop, but they're not. That's a green screen, and they are in São Paulo, Brazil. How's everything in São Paulo, Brazil today, Cesar and Manuela?
Pretty good, thank you.
Good. We're going to do, like we always do, we're going to have a giveaway. Yes. We're going to give away several items today, and tell them how they can enter the drawing, please, Cesar.
Oh, it's pretty simple. The link to participate in the drawing is at the top of the chat box here in YouTube. So all you have to do is click that link, leave your information, and you may have a chance to win one of the prizes. If you don't win, we usually have a surprise for you at the end too.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Cesar and Manuela, and we will come back to you throughout the screen so we can do giveaways. Okay, I'm back. Another quick announcement. We got a big show for you today. So I'm going to get through these announcements very quickly so we can get over to VJ and we're going to learn how to do some French polishing with Royal Lac today. New course on the horizon here at Lutherie Academy. I'm going to once again pull up the iPad and you'll see that there's a new course coming soon. That is the composite double top with Gernot Wagner. Now, Gernot Wagner is the inventor of the double top guitar or the composite double top guitar. There is a difference. There were some people doing it with wood before Gernot started using the honeycomb Nomex system of building the double top. So he's the inventor of what I call the composite double top. And I've spent some time in Frankfurt, Germany here a few months ago, and obviously had my camera with me, and that will become a double top course. So be looking for that. Also, the latest course that came out recently here was the elevated fretboard with Michael Cadiz in Austria. So make sure you check that out as well. Great course, great information. All right. Oh, one more quick announcement. American Lutherie Magazine showed up in my mailbox yesterday. This is the anthology version of it. It's the about harp guitars for this particular one. If you're a member of the Guild of American Luthiers, congratulations. If you're not a member, shame on you. You should be, because they put out great information, Lutherie related, and I highly recommend that you go over to their website and become a member of the Guild of American Luthiers. All right, I think that about does it. Oh, by the time it's time to renew those subscriptions. So I'm going to bring on our guest today. This is going to be Mr. VJ, and I'm going to pull him up here on the screen. Please, a warm round of applause for VJ. There we go. Thank you for tuning in today, VJ. In fact, I'm just going to remove myself from the screen here. Let's just keep VJ on the screen. There we go. How are you today, sir?
Okay.
Fantastic.
All right, I'm doing fine. Am I on the screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, you are. You're looking fine. You even combed your hair, it looks like.
Okay. Wonderful.
Uh,
Yeah, I didn't have a haircut, unfortunately, but yeah, anyways,
so
I'm
VJ is
here.
going to do a
Robbie,
demonstration.
before we start, I'd like to.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, VJ.
No, actually, I was saying that before we start, I'd like to send my warmest greetings to everyone who's on the show, and obviously to you too for all the help and support that you've given me for all these years. And I'm really, really grateful. My thank you to you from the bottom of my heart. So
Oh,
now you can go ahead.
thank you so much, VJ. Let me just explain real quickly how I met VJ. In fact, I'm just going to pull up my iPad again here, and let me see if I've got something here we can show. This is a video that I just happened to find on YouTube about the origins and how shellac is manufactured. And I found it fascinating. So go out there and do a search for this on YouTube. I found it fascinating, so fascinating that I even contacted VJ. And I said, VJ, congratulations, this is just wonderful. And he said, oh, by the way, I'm inventing a new product called Royal Lac. Would you do some testing? And I did a lot of testing over the years for VJ on this product. It's been very well tested here in my shop and other shops around the world. So that's how I met VJ. And VJ has left the building. He's no longer there with us.
No, I'm here. I'm just trying to get my phone in order. Yeah, now I can see you.
No, it
Good.
looks fine. It looks
Okay.
fine.
Okay. Now we are in business.
Okay, and it looks like, are you trying to dial in on another phone as well, VJ?
Yes, I am, and
Okay,
I'm looking at the image right now.
okay, let me see if I can bring that up. And perhaps, no, I don't see an image. I just see this image, and then I see a blank image. So
Yeah.
let's just stay with this one. I think this one's going to
Yes.
work
Okay.
pretty good. Okay, so very
We're
good.
good.
All right, so that's how I met VJ. And VJ is going to do a demonstration for us today. In fact, why don't you go ahead and explain what you're going to do, VJ?
Sure. I'm going to show you the technique for French polishing with Royal Lac Original. And so I have a piece of plywood over here. I've already applied a few coats of shellac on this, so therefore you can see that. And then I'm going to start the process as I'm talking with you.
All right. And
Always very
as you're
upfront.
doing your demonstration there, I'll feed you questions from the chat box and perhaps ask a few questions myself if that's okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, by the way,
So I have,
did I tell them what we're giving away? I don't think I
no, we
did.
haven't.
Okay. So do you want to do it or do you want me to do it, VJ?
You can go ahead and do it. I can hold up the products for you as you speak.
Okay. We're going to give away 1 quart of Royal Lac to a lucky winner. We're also going to give away 2 1/2 pounds of shellac flakes that VJ gets direct from India, and we'll be giving those away. Now, you have to be in the United States to win these products, obviously because of the shipping issue. But go ahead and click on the link that Cesar has put in our chat box there, and you'll be eligible to win. All right, go ahead, VJ. Tell us what you need to do there.
Okay. Okay. So I have my pad over here, and my pad, as you will see, is made out of cheesecloth. The inner is the cheesecloth, and the outer is linen, 100% linen.
Mm-hmm.
This is my pad, and I start the process. So once the shellac is dry, then the French polishing starts. What I do is I have some Royal Lac Original in this bottle. I also have some denatured alcohol in this bottle, and I'll be using baby oil, which you can buy at any store, for the lubrication of the pad. So what I do is that I put in a few squirts of Royal Lac Original and about equal amounts of denatured alcohol. Close my pad. Put in, just a drop of the mineral oil, which is baby oil, actually speaking, and then I start the process.
And you start immediately with circular motions, it looks like.
Yeah, you can start any way you want. If you don't like circular motions, you can always start, like so. You can start in an S pattern. It really doesn't matter because you'll be covering the whole surface anyways. So Circular pattern is something that I'm used to and I like, so that's what I start off with. But there's no hard and fast rule about it. I'm going to move this off a little bit. Oh, there you go. And I'm going to cover the whole area. So now, Robbie, I'll be doing this as we talk. So go ahead and ask your questions, and I'll try to answer them to the best of my capability.
All right, I'm just going to check out the chat box here. Let's just do a quick shout out to everybody. Good morning, Robbie and VJ from Spokane, Washington. Here's a comment from Jeremy Brown. He says, nothing but great experiences with Royal Lac, and VJ provides the best customer service. Wow, look at that.
Thank you. Thank
Very
you.
good. All right. David from Oak Island, North Carolina. We got another David from Asheville, North Carolina. Gary from Flagstaff. We got Tom from Oregon. Keith in Utah. Cesar, of course, is down there in Brazil. O'Brien Guitars. Hey, who's that? That must be me. We got John from Golden, Colorado, which is just around the corner here. Another person from Oregon, Louisville, Kentucky. This person didn't put where they were from. It's Nicholas. Craig in New Mexico. Ian, I believe he's up in Vancouver. Look at that. Texas, Ontario, Canada. Oh, I'm always amazed at our reach we have here. All the way down to Huntsville, Alabama, Austin, Texas, Havana, Florida, Singapore. Wow, it must be a different time of day over there. Here's a comment from James. Now, he apparently has used Royal Lac before, and he's used the post cat version. And he says, I just wanted to share that I sprayed post cat Royal Lac on my last guitar, and it was a dream to work with. I even had a few sand throughs, and I needed to touch up and didn't have even any witness lines. So we've touched on a couple of words there. He first of all, the application method, sprayed, also post cat. Would you like to elaborate, VJ, a little bit on the application methods? I know you're doing the French polish, and also what does post cat mean?
Okay, so what happened was that after Royal Lac original got invented originally, a lot of people came back to me and said, you know what, it takes 30 days for it to cure. And then after 30 days, I have to sand it and do the finishing, the final finishing. So do you have a product that cures faster? So I started looking into it, and then I was able to develop Royal Lac post-catalyzed product. And what that is that once you spray it, it cures in about 7 to 10 days. I'm saying 7 to 10 days only because the can says it's about 3 or 4 days, but I'm saying 7 to 10 days because of humidity and temperature in the area. So just to be on the safe side, a week is at the most that you need for it to cure. And then after that, you can start your final sanding. So that's the product as far as Royal Lac Post Catalyze is concerned. It's definitely a product that is very, very durable. As a matter of fact, it's as durable as any other finish out over there. And since it is a post catalyzed product, the chemistry by itself gives you the durability. That's one important thing about the product. And as far as applications are concerned, you can brush it, you can pad it, you can spray it. Now, spraying is the best way to apply it, in my opinion, because you get a very even and nice coating if you do so. Also, to keep in mind that Royal Lac Post Catalyzed has 40% solids. So that's a very high level of solids content. And so you need to dilute it first, at least 100, maybe 125% before you spray. But I've done it on so many pieces of furniture in my house, and it's really a wonderful product in my opinion. And I think I'm sorry I don't remember the gentleman's name who said something about it, but I think he's had the same experience too.
Yeah, VJ, I've actually got some pictures that I can bring up. I have to remove you from the screen, but let me just bring up some
Okay.
pictures that will actually show some pieces of furniture. I believe these are your pieces of furniture that were finished with Royal Lac. There's a nice desk there, and there it is in the closed position. I also have some musical instruments, some guitars that. Here's a couple of pictures that VJ sent me. This one's kind of dark. It's got a very vintage look to it. It's got a sunburst. But look at the beautiful work and the finish on that. Here's a guitar that I did with a student. This was back when I first met VJ. This guitar was built in 2014, and this finish was padded on just like VJ's doing. This was the original Royal Lac. It wasn't the post-cat version. But as you can see, look at the finish on there. Very beautiful. It was not sprayed. It was hand rubbed. And look at the gloss that I've got. Very, very nice finish. And it just really popped that bird's eye maple too.
Yeah,
And here's, go ahead.
the photographs that I sent you yesterday
Uh-huh.
is from a gentleman called Mark Birds.
Okay.
I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. It's Burds, so pardon me if I haven't. And that is done with Royal Lac post catalyzed.
Okay. Now, you talked about application methods. The postcat, if I remember correctly, when you were developing the postcat, you said that it's formulated for spraying and you get your best results that way. But can you use the postcat in a padded version or a brushed application method?
Oh, absolutely, you can. It's just that you have to dilute it, I would say at least 150, maybe even 200%, because it's a 40% solids product. So,
Right.
yeah, you can pad it, you can brush it. But again, spraying gives you a very even coat, and it's a lot faster and a lot cleaner too, in my opinion. But
Okay.
yes, you can pad it too.
Yeah. Now, the original Royal Lac, which takes up to like 30 days or so to cure, most of the testing I did with that, I did some spraying, but I found that it padded very, very nicely, like just a French polish. It
Yes,
built very quickly.
yes, yes,
If you,
and
if
you're
you,
absolutely right.
the only advantage of the post-cat version is that you have a quicker cure time. Is that correct? Just 7 to 10 days as opposed to 3 or 4 weeks?
Yeah, that is correct. Royal Lac Original was developed for French polishing and for padding, and so it pads very well. It sprays very well too, by the way. As far as brushing is concerned,
Uh-huh.
it brushes far better than regular shellac does.
Yes.
So as far as the two products are concerned, it's your choice. If you want something that cures really fast, Royal Lac Post Catalyzed is the way to go. If you want to wait for 30 days before your final finishing begins, Royal Lac Original is the way to go.
Okay. Now, just for those that are not familiar with the product, can you elaborate a little bit about what is this product? In fact, we even have a question here. What makes this product unique?
Okay. So as far as shellac is concerned, here I'm talking about pure shellac flakes. As far as that is concerned, um, durability is the main issue. And the reason why durability is the main issue is because shellac is a thermoplastic polymer. In other words, thermoplastic means that once it is dissolved in its solvent, it can be redissolved again in that solvent. And so, therefore, it is not as durable as other products that are available at the store. And these products are called thermoset products. Thermoset products are those polymers that once dissolved and applied and the film has been formed, the film cannot be redissolved again in its solvent. And so Royal Lac Original as well as Royal Lac Post Catalyzed are thermoset products. And the fun thing about both of them is that during the process of cure, which is about 15 days for Royal Lac Original and about, I would say, 3 to 4 days for Royal Lac Post Catalyzed, they do behave like thermoplastic polymer resins. And so if you have a problem and you want to apply a little patch somewhere because you had a sand through, as one of the speakers mentioned, and you apply the Royal Lac Post Catalyzed within those 3 or 4 days, you may not see witness lines. And the same applies with Royal Lac Original too, if it is applied within 10 to 15 days approximately. So that is as far as the uh, two products are concerned. Now, what makes this product different than shellac than pure shellac flakes is that both of these products have synthetic resins added to them. And the way it works is that the shellac is the backbone resin, and the synthetic resins, which are a cocktail of resins, are the secondary resins, and the two cross-link with each other as the film formation process begins. So once the cross-link has been done, it has cured, and so at that point it becomes a thermoset finish. And so the durability that you get from these two finishes is as good as polyurethane or urethane or any other lacquer out over there. So
So
that
it's
I would
so
say,
it's very, very durable then once it's cured, correct?
yes, it's very, very durable. As a matter of fact, I don't think there is a stripping agent available for this product. You'll have to sand it off.
Okay.
It is so durable. You can put alcohol on it and let it stand on, let the alcohol stand in it for on it for 3 or 4 days, and nothing is going to happen to it.
Wow.
That's how durable it is. And as far as scratch resistance is concerned, Royal Lac post catalyzed is pretty good as far as that is concerned, only because of the chemistry of post catalyzed products. Now, Royal Lac Original also has great scratch resistance for a pre catalyzed finish. So, but you can't do a comparison between the two, to speak very honestly, because it's the chemistry of the product that gives you that ability of high scratch resistance characteristic.
Okay, VJ, I have another quick question. I noticed that are you loading your pad always from the inside or you're loading it from the outside?
It's always from the inside. We never do it from the outside, because when you do it from the outside and you put it on the surface, it floods the surface. And the most important rule in French polishing is to apply extremely thin and even layers is violated. So
Right.
the finish is always poured, open the pad, pour it in. I
Hmm.
pour equal amounts because this is about 20% solids. So by adding equal amounts, I get about 10% solid, which is about a 1 to 1.5 cut, which is a good cut for French polishing.
Okay. Can you hold up the sample board there so we can see how the progress is going?
Sure.
Now, VJ's been working on this for about, what, 10 or 15 minutes. He's already got a nice
Yeah.
build to it,
Yeah,
looking very good.
and it's got a layer of oil on it that I will have to burnish off once the process is done.
Hmm. Okay,
But
that's looking good. He's got a
it
nice
builds
build
very
already.
fast. Yes, it builds very fast, as a matter of fact. And the fun thing about French polishing is that you can go on for hours,
Yeah, yeah.
because by
Okay.
the time I reach this point, this one is already dry, so I come back to it.
Hmm. I've got another question here from Alexander. I'm going to put that on the screen. We'll answer that question. And then perhaps while you do a little more work, we'll pop down to Brazil and give away some shellac. So here comes Alexander's question. He says, Hi VJ, I want to dye my maple back and sides darker and then use Royal Lac over it. What's the best dye to use with your product?
Oh, the best dye I have found in my experience is aniline dyes. They are available in liquid form as well as in powder form. These
Hmm.
are alcohol soluble dyes, so they work very well. So you can dye uh, your instrument, and then once that is completed, you can go ahead with the application of Royal Lac. It's pretty
Will
simple.
the Royal Lac, the alcohol content of the Royal Lac, will it streak the colored wood or the dye that you've just put on?
Um, I I have I have not had that experience, but I would say do a test piece first, because it depends on the amount of dye that you applied on the surface and the amount of dye that has been absorbed by the wood also.
Right.
So do a test piece first and see what you get. If you do have streaking, then you may have to end up spraying a very thin misting coat to
Mm-hmm.
seal the dye, and then you can apply the Royal Lac post catalyzed or original.
Okay. All right. Very good. I'm going to take you off camera for a few minutes here, VJ. We're going to go down to Brazil where Cesar and Manuela are anxiously awaiting. We're going to do a drawing. We're going to give away a half-pound of shellac, blonde shellac, right, VJ?
Yes.
Okay. I'll be back to you here in just a minute.
Okay.
There's Cesar and Manuela. Howdy, howdy. Are we ready for the drawing for the shellac? How many people are entered?
Yes, we're ready. We have 38 participants for this first round.
Okay, very
That's
good. Manuela has the random number generator.
Yeah, let's see. Oh,
Number
right at the
38.
bottom. 38. Let me see the spreadsheet. And number 38 is down over here. You need to move here. So the person is Bill Bell.
Bill Bell, very good. Congratulations. You have won the half pound of shellac. Congratulations. All right. Now, once again, as a reminder, you need to be in the United States because of the shipping. Makes it a little easier for VJ. You have to be in the United States. But congratulations to Bill. And we're going to go back, see what VJ is doing, check his progress. We'll come back for another drawing here in a few minutes. Thank you, Cesar and Manuela.
Thank you.
All right, there's VJ having fun. I like to tell people that French polishing and sanding makes the world a better place because you're just kind of alone with your thoughts and you can't get yourself in trouble.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
all right, here comes another question.
You all the better.
Here comes another question. Oh, by the way, we have somebody from France here on the chat. That's Raymond. Thanks for tuning in, Raymond. Here's a question from Eric. Can Royal Lac be substituted for the suggested materials in Robbie's French polish lesson? And I guess I'll go ahead and answer that question, VJ. And the answer is yes. Okay. You can use this product, Royal Lac. You will need to dilute it, like VJ said, down to a 1 pound or even a 1.5 pound cut. But you can use this in the exact same manner as I show in my French polish course. And you will have a much more durable finish. You won't have a traditional shellac finish, but you'll have a much more durable finish. But the process is the same and works very well. So thanks for that question, Eric. That's very good. Dwayne is in Tennessee. Thanks for tuning in. Tony Rockwood, he's right here in Colorado, if I remember correctly. Let's see. His question is, I want to French polish Royal Lac post-cat. What pound cut do I use? Would you answer that, please, VJ?
Oh, absolutely. You actually cannot French polish with Royal Lac post-cat. You will have to pad it on. What I'm doing over here is French polishing. In other words, I'm continuously building up, layer upon layer or coat upon coat. With padding, what you do is that you put down maybe a coat or two, and then you wait for a while, and then you come back to it. So that's what you have to do with Royal Lac post-catalyzed because of the high solids content and also because of the way the product has been engineered.
Okay. Is the post-cat, I mean, sometimes when you use the word post-cat, it intimidates people. Is it easy to mix? How's the mixing properties and how easy is it to do?
Oh, yes, it's very easy to mix. As a matter of fact, I would suggest that if you have a digital scale, which is easily available nowadays, it's a ratio of 7:1. So 7 parts of finish and 1 part of the catalyst. And if you mix a small quantity, and I usually start with about 21 grams of finish and 3 grams of the catalyst, and then I add. So that's about 20. That's 24 grams. So let's say it's 25 grams. I add another 25 grams of denatured alcohol to it, and that gives me 100% reduction in the finish, and that I've seen works very well in terms of spraying, padding, as well as brushing.
Okay, great. All right, we have another question here. Let's see. This one is from James. Oh, this is a great question. I have never opened a can of the post-cat shellac that is a few years old. Is there a shelf life for this product? That's a great question.
Yes, it is indeed. Post-catalyzed product, since it has no catalyst in it, has a longer shelf life than pre-catalyzed products. I mean, this is the way finishes work. So for example, the Royal Lac Original has a shelf life of about 2 years. The reason why we say 2 years is because that's the thumb rule in the shellac industry. But even after 2 years, if you open up the can and you see that it is apple juice color and in consistency, it is just like a 1 pound cut of shellac. Just put it on a test piece, find out if it's working well, and then use it if it does. As far as post catalyze is concerned, it is definitely more than 2 years. So I would say approximately between 2 to 3 years is the shelf life. But again, after that also, if you find that it's working for you because it dries properly, it cures properly, then go ahead and use it.
VJ, what about the catalyst? Is there a shelf life on the catalyst?
No, there is no shelf life on the catalyst because the catalyst is simply an acid that forces the finish to cure. So there is no shelf life for it.
So if you have, I mean, up to 3, maybe even 4 years old, you can still use the product, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I have some over here. Look at this bottle. I mean, this is about 4 years old and I'm still using it.
Okay.
So
All
yeah,
right.
it doesn't have a shelf life.
That's a great bit of information. Thank you for that. Here's another question, and this is from Craig, and I think you kind of touched on this a minute ago, but maybe you can elaborate on it. What is the difference in padding and French polishing?
Oh, the biggest difference between French polish and padding is that in French polishing, we have this rule that we apply extremely thin and even layers, one on top of the other, which is exactly what I'm doing over here. I am continually applying thin and even layers since last, what, maybe 15, 20 minutes now. And I can continue with with this process for hours together, for days together. Now, as far as padding is concerned, we don't apply extremely thin and even layers, but we apply thin and even layers. So you have to wait for the coats or the layers. After 3 or 4 of it, you got to wait for it to dry, touch dry, and then start the application again. So the end result and the difference between the two, as far as the end result is concerned, that French polishing, if done correctly, you will not have to do the final sanding and finishing. Whereas with padding, you'll have to go for great sanding and finishing.
Great question.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, I think it does. Okay, here's let's see. Boy, there's a lot of questions coming in here. Let's find another one. And this one's from Dwayne from Tennessee. After French polishing a couple of days and then finding a small spot that was sanded well, I assume that he sanded maybe perhaps through the wood. It says, "Do I have to sand the entire sides, or is there a fix for that spot?" I assume that he's talking about traditional shellac flakes, but maybe we could apply this question to traditional shellac flakes and also to Royal Lac. In other words, can it be spot repaired?
Okay, so far as shellac flakes are concerned, you can easily spot repair it even after the last application was done, say about a year back, because it is a thermoplastic polymer, as I explained earlier. And so what happens is that when you apply the shellac solution on that substrate again, it redissolves the previously applied shellac and it melds with it to form one single film. Now, as far as Royal Lac original and post catalyzed is concerned, these are thermoset finishes. And so if you've crossed the limit of about 10 to 15 days for Royal Lac original and about 3 to 4 days with Royal Lac post-catalyzed, and you have to sand the spot and apply it. Yes, you can sand the spot, you can apply it on that spot for buildup, and then after that, you'll have to apply 1 or 2 or maybe 3 layers all over the surface so that you do not get any witness lines.
Is there a window of opportunity for repairing? For example, if you're recently I taught a class with Jeff Jewett at the Mark Adams School of Woodworking, and the finish was catalyzed urethane, and you have a window of opportunity to spray the second coat. Is there that same window of opportunity for doing spot repairs or spraying the second coat and still having cross-linking?
Yes. So the window, as far as Royal Lac originally is concerned, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm not understanding your question correctly, Robbie. As far as the window for Royal Lac originally is concerned, is about 10 to 15 days,
Okay.
and for Royal Lac post catalyzed, it's about 3 to 4 days.
Okay, so let me see if I can just elaborate on the question. Maybe you can understand it better and maybe the viewers can. Let's say I need to do a spot repair. Let me go back to the catalyzed urethane. For example, in the class we spray it, and as soon as you can hold the instrument, you can spray a second coat, and it makes one layer. In other words, it cross links. If you go outside of that window, which is with catalyzed urethane is a couple, maybe 3 hours, if you spray another coat, if you sand through that layer into your previous layer, then you have a witness line. During the application, what's that window of opportunity? That's my question. All of these coats that you're applying will cross-link. Or let's say that I start applying and then I have to go to lunch, and then I have to check some emails, and let's say 6 hours later I come back. Is that second layer going to cross-link with the first layer?
Absolutely, because as I said, the Royal Lac post catalyzed at about 3 to 4 days. So you can apply, say, 2 coats today, and
Right.
then wait for 24 hours, and then apply another 2 more coats,
Okay. And then
right?
there's no chance of
And they
sanding
will
through
all
those layers
cross-link
into the
with
previous
each
layer.
other. Now, okay, so let me answer it this way. So let's say, for example, you apply 2 coats today, you wait for 48 hours, and you say that, okay, I have a problem, I need to sand a little bit over here. So you sand it, you build it up with a few coats in that area.
Mhm.
Now, after this, if you apply another 2 coats on the whole surface, you won't get witness lines, and uh, the uh, the present coats will blend or cross-link with the previous coats to form one layer.
Perfect. That's my question. Yeah. So you have
Okay.
several days then for that window of opportunity. That's
Yes.
good.
As I said,
Okay.
3 to 4 days for Royal Lac post-catalyzed and about 10 to 15 days for Royal Lac original.
Wow. Okay. And I think that was Ian's question. Ian's up in Canada. He says, does being a thermal set polymer make Royal Lac more difficult to do repair work? And I think we just kind of addressed that question for Ian.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Very good. Louis on board. Louis up there in Alaska, and he says he's smoking salmon. Look at that. Wow.
Oh, wow.
Can you ship Royal Lac to Alaska? Louis says, I can't get it shipped to Alaska because everything is by air.
Exactly. Unfortunately, I can ship it, but the amount of paperwork and the amount of money that Louis you'll be spending on shipping
Mhm.
is going to be exorbitant.
Okay.
So
He
anything,
also asked another question. He says, can I order it through a vendor such as Sherwin-Williams?
um, I have no connections with them, so I don't think you can do so because they don't carry my product.
Okay. So you just have to get it directly from you, right?
Yeah. Is there a way that he can buy the product from Canada and get it shipped ground? Is that a possibility?
I don't know. Do you ship it to Canada?
Yes, I do. As a matter of fact, Canadian customers can buy it from a company called Artistic Wood. So if anybody is interested in Canada, they can send me an email and I can send them all the information.
Okay. Artistic Wood. Cesar down there in Brazil, if you heard that, see if you can find a link and put that in the chat box. Artistic Wood.
They are
And
in
then maybe
Toronto.
he could ground ship it then on into Alaska. That might be a possibility.
Yeah, I don't know if that is possible, but you can find out.
Okay. All right. Very good. Here's another question from Alan. Is there a matte finish with Royal Lac?
Um, yes, there is, and there was, I should say. But I don't do it anymore only because the demand for it is extremely low. However, if you are willing to buy about 1 or maybe 2 gallons of it, then I can formulate it for you,
Okay.
and that'll cost you an additional amount. But we
Right.
can always talk about that. So send me an email if you're interested.
Okay. I guess you could also just apply your regular version and then rub it out to a matte finish afterwards, though, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Ken has a question. Can Royal Lac be tinted? Did you hear that one, VJ?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, I'm talking about tinting Royal Lac.
Yes. Yes. Can it be
Okay,
tinted?
yeah, yes and no. So if you're spraying, you can tint it and spray it, not a problem. But if you're patting or brushing, you got to be really, really careful because you may get streaks.
Okay. All right. Good. Thank you for that question, Ken. Boy, the questions are coming in fast and furious here. Here's a question from Joseph. Joseph Jenkins, way down there in Texas. I think you just got back from Europe, man. Welcome back. I apologize if this question has been answered. Is Royal Lac compatible with water-based pore fillers?
Yes, it is. And the way to do it is this. So you have your substrate, you put in any pore filler that you want, water based or epoxy, or I don't know how many other kinds of fillers are out there, but use anything you want.
Right.
Once you have applied that pore filler, wait at least 3 times the amount of time that the manufacturer asks or has stated on the label. Okay,
Okay.
and after that, sand back to wood. This is very important now. Sand back to wood so that the pore filler is only in the pores of the wood. After the sanding back is done, apply about 3 or 4 layers of shellac.
Mhm.
Let it cure for about a week or maybe 10 days, and then level sand it or level wet sand it with 400 grit sandpaper to get a layer of shellac sitting on the substrate of the wood. After that, you can apply Royal Lac on as your final finish. Now, if there are sand throughs when you're doing the level sanding for shellac, you can repair it, and once the repair is completed, you can switch to Royal Lac.
Perfect. Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you, Joseph. How are we doing there? How's your progress, VJ? Can you go ahead and hold the board up to the camera again?
Sure. Look at that.
Look at that. Wow, that's just in what, a half hour of rubbing it around on the surface there. That's amazing. Look at how much build that
Exactly.
is. Very nice.
Exactly. And yeah, you can go on for days, as I said, because by the time, I start at this end, and by the time I reach this end, this one is already dry, right?
Right.
My pad is well lubricated, so I don't have linting. And I have enough Royal Lac in it, so I'm adding only a little bit of Royal Lac to it, but more alcohol, diluting it more,
Mhm.
so that I get a very thin and even layer as I'm applying.
A quick question about the lubricant that you just mentioned. In the traditional French polish method, that oil rises to the surface and needs to be removed from the surface. We call this the spiriting off portion of the French
Yes,
polish. Is it the
yes,
same thing applicable here?
yes, absolutely. As a matter of fact, here, why don't I put this up? And I think you should be able to see when I rub my finger on it.
Yes, I can see it. Uh-huh.
Can you see
See
that?
the oil
There's
content
oil.
coming out.
Yeah, yeah. There is the oil sitting on the surface. And so once this is dry, which is about tomorrow or day after, I'll just spirit it off with, or burnish with just a pad with very little amount of alcohol in it and
Hmm.
get rid of the oil.
Okay, great. Okay, I'm going to go down to Brazil again. I think it's about time we give away another giveaway here, another half pound of shellac flakes from
Sure.
VJ. So I'm going to take you off the screen. I'll take myself off the screen, and we're going to go down to Brazil where Cesar and Manuela have fallen asleep. Oh no, they're still awake. Look at that.
No, no fallen.
Do we have more people that have enrolled for this drawing?
Yeah, we have a lot. We have 49 participants.
49 participants. Okay. All
Let's
right.
see
So,
who's-
Manuela, let's start the random number generator there.
The render number generator had a problem. Oh, no, it's back. Here it is. Let's see. Number 44. Let's switch to the spreadsheet. And 44 is Ray Cutler.
Ray Cutler, congratulations. You have won
Congratulations,
a
Ray.
half-pound cut of shellac. Way to go. Now, I just saw a comment from Louie up there in Alaska here in the chat box, and he says, I assume that I can't win Royal Lac prize living in Alaska. I did say that it would ship to the United States, but I probably should have elaborated, said the 48 continental United States, not Hawaii and not Alaska.
Yeah,
So,
unfortunately.
yeah, so make sure that you're in the United States, the 48 continental, and then you can be eligible. All right, so thank you very much, Cesar and Manuela. We're still going to give away a quart of Royal Lac, and we'll be back here in a little bit to talk to you about that. Thank you, Cesar and Manuela.
Perfect. Thank
Very
you,
good.
Steve.
All right, let's go back to VJ, who is feverishly French polishing there. People ask me all the time. Go ahead.
I have a correction. Robbie, you said a quart. Actually, this is a pint.
Oh, a pint. I'm sorry.
A pint, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. I get the question often of how do you know when you're done? And I usually tell people when you like the results or when your arm falls off, whichever comes first. Is there a way that you tell when you're done, VJ?
What you just said is absolutely correct. As far as I'm concerned, when I'm doing French polishing, I fill the pores and I start applying the finish. Once the finish has completely filled the surface of the wood and I cannot see the pores from a low angle, I'm done.
Okay. All right. Good. What about if you start your padding sessions or your French polish with the Royal Lac or even your spraying, and let's say you discover that you didn't quite get all of the pores filled? What would you do in that circumstance?
Oh, in that circumstance, just sand the surface with about 400 or maybe 600 grit to get a flat, even surface. You'll see the pores. Do your pore filling. Again, sand it down. Apply several coats of shellac and then Royal Lac.
Okay. So you can go back and touch up the pores even though you've already applied some Royal Lac.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And one thing I'd like to mention over here is that the reason why we like to see a few layers of shellac, that means a film of shellac in between the pore filler and Royal Lac, is because most pore fillers are acidic in nature.
Okay.
I'm sorry, alkaline.
Okay.
Whereas Royal Lac post-catalyzed is acidic. So you don't want the two to interact very easily. And so therefore a layer of shellac in between them will help you or take you a long ways.
Okay. Now you just said a layer of shellac, and I know you make a product called Seal Lac. Is that basically just shellac?
Shellac is a combination of shellac and natural resins. So it has a solids content of about 20-25%, and you can use it as a sealer. You also use it as a finish.
Is there a shelf life on it?
The shelf life again is about 2 years because, as I said, in the shellac industry, that's the thumb rule of shelf life. But again, it's more than 2 years. Even shellac flakes, for example, is about 2 years. But if you have shellac flakes sitting on the shelf for, say, about 5 years or so, and you want to use it, just do a test run and everything looks okay. You're good to go.
I have a great example of that sitting right next to me. I have some shellac flakes that were a little older, I decided to mix them recently. I'm going to put myself on the full camera here so you can see this, everybody. Let's see, I want to use this one. People ask me all the time, how do you know if your shellac flakes are still good? Well, you got to mix them. And if they do not dissolve, if you have like a gelatinous resin, like in this bottle, then don't use them. And you can see in the bottom of this bottle, there's just a bunch of gelatin floating around in there. And I found this out about a week or two ago. I was mixing up shellac for the next student coming into town, and it did not dissolve all the way. So that's how you tell if your shellac flakes are good. If they dissolve, then you're okay to go ahead and use them. So
you're absolutely right, Robbie.
Okay, we have some more questions coming in here. Let's see here. This one is from Sean. It's another great question. Boy, all these guys need to get an award. They're asking some really good questions. Are there any harmful to human chemicals in the product? In other words, do we need to take any precautions when using this product? I notice you're not using a respirator or anything.
Yeah, so as far as the precautions are concerned, whenever you're using any kind of finish, even a water-based finish, it really doesn't matter. Gloves, most important, because your skin is the largest breathing organ of your body. So gloves important. As far as using Royal Lac Original when you're padding or brushing, you don't need a respirator. But when you're spraying and you have a lot of it in the air, a respirator is required.
Okay.
And you will find all that information on the label of the can.
So other than gloves and perhaps some safety goggles or glasses for splashing, you don't need any particular special precautions, correct?
No,
Unless
you don't.
spraying.
You don't. The most important thing that since this is alcohol based, it is a flammable product, so you shouldn't have any open fires around it.
Right. Okay.
But that's about it.
Good. All right. Here's Tim. He must have been late to the party. He says, sorry, but what is post-cat? Would you just elaborate on that again one time?
Sure. So post-catalyzed is a version of Royal Lac that you you mix the catalyst into it before using it. The pot life is about 8 to 10 hours, and the curing time is about 7 to 10 days. So once the last application is done, you wait for about 7 to 10 days, and then you can do your final sanding. In contrast, Royal Lac Original, the other one, you have to wait for about 30 days before final finishing, which is done by wet sanding, is started.
Perfect. Okay. James has a question again about shelf life. He says, on the issue of shelf life, mine lives in my garage during the hot summers. Boy, I imagine it gets really hot in there. He says, does the heat affect the shelf life of Royal Lac Original or Royal Lac Post-Cat?
The answer is no, it does not. But that doesn't mean that you should leave it out in the sun. As long as it's in your garage, in a cool, dry place, you're good to go. And by the way, the lid of the can has to be closed properly. And
Right.
you're okay. As far as shellac flakes are concerned, let me elaborate on that also because that's important. As far as shellac flakes are concerned, heat does not ruin it. It just makes it into a big cake, into a big chunk. But the characteristics of the shellac remains as is.
Okay. Great question. Thank you, James, for that. Thank you, VJ, for the answer. Cesar has put in the chat box there VJ's website. There's a link to it. I can also just pull it up real quick here on my iPad. Let me just pull that up. If you go over to shellacfinishes.com, you'll see VJ's website. You'll see a couple of pieces of furniture there that have been finished with Royal Lac. A little bit of information about VJ. Some testimonials about the product. Also have application videos with shellac and Royal Lac. So great resource there. Shellacfinishes.com. Make sure you go check that out. VJ, how's the build coming there?
Excellent. As a matter of fact, here it is.
Look at that.
It just keeps building.
Wow, it's got a great build to it already.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, that's impressive. You said this product is what, like 40% solids?
The Royal Lac Post Catalyzed is 40%, and the Royal
Mhm.
Lac Original is about 20%.
20%. Okay. So if you were using this padding method with the postcat, you would get done quicker or get a quicker build than you would with the original Royal Lac, correct?
Yes, you would. Yes, you would. But again, if you dilute it, say about 200% or maybe 300%, then you would be applying less amount of the finish, and so then the time would be more. So
Okay.
it all depends on the dilution rate and your skill at application of the finish.
Okay. And you recommended that you dilute 2 to 300%. I think earlier you said a 1 pound cut to a 1.5 pound cut. What if you decided to try and pad it on with a 2 pound or a 2.5 pound cut? Would that work?
Yeah, it would work, but it would leave behind streaks, and you don't want that. So you want the finish to be as flat, as even as possible. So 1 to 1.5 pound cut is what I have found to be the best ratio.
Okay.
Now, if you can do with a 2 pound cut, good for you.
Okay. Tony's got a question of, do you spirit off to get the oil off? I think we talked about that earlier. Are you going to
Yes,
demonstrate
yes.
the spiriting off here in the video?
I could, although it's going to be a little difficult because this is still not dry.
Right.
So
You like
I
for it
don't
to
know if
dry
that's.
completely before you do the spiriting off?
Yeah, yeah, because what happens is that as the Royal Lac is drying, it forms a film and the film shrinks. And as it shrinks, it pushes up the oil from the previous layers onto the surface.
Okay.
Okay, so you have to let it dry and then do the spiriting off. But as far as spiriting off is concerned, we use the same pad, a new pad,
Hmm.
and I pour very, very little amount of alcohol in it. When I say very little, I mean be a miser, okay? And then what we do is that we vigorously rub the surface with that pad, and that gets rid of the oil as well as burnishes the surface to give you the final shine.
Okay. Now, when you say how much time, for example, you need it to dry? Can you spirit off the same day, or do you like for it to fully cure? Do you like to go the 7 to 10 days, for example, or do you want to spirit it
Oh,
off with 4 hours?
well, yeah. As far as spiriting off is concerned, after 3 or 4 days, you can spirit it off, and you should be fine.
Okay. All right. Very good. John has a quick question here. He says, where will we buy this product once LMI closes the website? So, so I guess you just get it directly from VJ, right?
Yes, absolutely. It'll be completely transparent to the user. And so once LMI closes, you can come to my website, place your order, and it'll be shipped the next day. So there
Perfect.
shouldn't be any disruptions whatsoever.
Okay, very good. All right. Well, we've already been here for an hour, and I try and keep these things, close to an hour. So we probably should think about wrapping it up here. Let me just see if I can find a couple quick more comments or questions. Cesar down in Brazil says, I'm failing to find a website to the shop VJ said, Artistic Wood from Canada. If you have internet, please drop us an email or we can check it later with VJ. So Artistic Wood up there in Canada carries the Royal Lac products. Uh,
Yes,
uh, do you
I don't.
mind if we give out your email address, VJ? Somebody's asking about your email address.
Oh, no, no, oh, absolutely. It's sales at shellac.finishes.com. So
Oh,
if
that's
you're in
easy.
Canada and if you need information about artistic wood, just send me an email.
Okay, so sales at shellac.finishes.com. That's how you
Yes,
can answer or send a question or buy a product from VJ. Very
yes.
good.
Yes.
Um,
And you can ask as many questions as you have as far as finishing is concerned.
okay.
And it's
Uh,
irrelevant whether you buy the product from me or not. That's irrelevant. Your questions will always be answered. A
one of
million
the
questions, if that may be.
One of the first comments we had in the chat box here was the great customer support, and that you just heard directly from VJ. If you have any questions, finishing related, whether you buy the product from him or not, go ahead and send him a question. Here's a question for you. Can you pour fill using pumice with Royal Lac?
Yes, you can, but it's not an easy process. Yeah, as a matter of fact, even using pumice with shellac, just pure shellac, is not an easy process.
That's
It
right.
takes a lot of experience to do that. So therefore, as far as pumice pour filling is concerned, I always recommend to my students is that, put the pumice and just take a pad and rub it in so that you create the sawdust. The sawdust mixes with the pumice and gets into the pores of the wood. The moment you put shellac on the pad and you try doing it, it's going to become a very difficult process because it'll turn sticky and you will get swirls on the surface.
Right. Okay. Alexander has another question. How many layers of padding post-lac do I need to get a high gloss finish? Well, if you'll hold up that sample board again there, VJ, I think you can tell. We've been at this about 45 minutes or so, and you can really tell that there's a nice high gloss finish going on that. And that's just a piece of birch plywood, right?
Yeah, it wasn't even sanded. I just applied a few coats of shellac on it last night, and I started the polishing this morning.
Wow. That's very impressive. Very, very impressive. All right, let's go ahead and start thinking about wrapping this up here. One more dumb question from Louis. He says it's a dumb question. I don't know if that's possible, but Louis says,
it's not a dumb question.
Can I get Royal Lac in a dry form and reconstitute it here? This is Louis from Alaska again. He's concerned about trying to just get it to Alaska.
Yeah, I know, Louis. I'm so sorry. Unfortunately, no, it's not available in a dry form because the synthetic resins that are in the Royal Lac do not come in a dry form. They are always in a liquid form.
Okay.
So I'm sorry.
All right. Last question here, then we'll wrap it up. Can you thin with Everclear instead of denatured? In other words, grain alcohol. Okay.
Absolutely, because Everclear is grain alcohol. Now, I've had customers who bought Everclear here in California, and it's 151 proof.
Right.
Now, that's not going to work.
Right.
Okay. So when we are talking about Everclear, we want it to be 195% proof.
Yeah, 190 proof, I think, or let's see. 190 proof. Yep.
Proof. That's correct. Yeah.
190 proof.
I'm not too familiar with it because we don't get it here in California.
What about just the isopropyl pharmacy variety rubbing alcohol if it's 99.5 or whatever percent? Will that work?
Yes, it'll work. What will happen is that once you use isopropyl alcohol, the drying time will go up.
Yes.
So it's just the time issue over there. But otherwise, it'll work.
Okay, perfect. All right, I'm going to let you just kind of wrap it up there, VJ. I'm going to go down to Brazil. We're going to give away a pint, not a quart. We're going to give away a pint of Royal Lac. So let's get Cesar and Manuela back up here for our final drawing. Cesar and Manuela are still there. They have not gone to sleep. They have not left the building.
No.
I remember one time we did a live stream, and it was right after lunch in Brazil. Yeah. It was in the morning here, and it was a very hot summer day, and they had a Brazilian dish called feijoada, which is basically a black bean stew served with pork and rice and beans, and you usually drink it with the Brazilian national drink called caipirinha, which is a sugarcane alcohol. And I remember them after the stream, them telling me that they were really struggling to stay awake.
We were.
So there's a little behind the scenes trivia for you here. All right, go ahead, Manuela.
Let's see, we have 51 participants this round.
51, all right.
And number 30. Let's switch to the spreadsheet, and number 30 is David.
David, very good. Thank you very much, David, for entering, and you are the lucky winner of the pint of Royal Lac. Way to go. All right, so Cesar will be in touch with everybody and ask for your email address or your shipping address, and then we'll pass that on to VJ. And shortly here in the few days, you should be seeing these products in the mail. So thank you very much, Cesar
That's correct.
Manuela, one more time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't go to sleep.
No.
Okay, well, we've gone on probably long enough. Let me just bring on VJ one more time here. And VJ, why don't you just show us the sample board one more time?
Yeah, sure. As a matter of fact, here it is. And I
Wow.
can rub my hand on it. It's more or less dry. So I'm going to try to burnish it. Okay?
Okay.
Let's give it a try. Let's see what
Sure.
happens.
Okay.
Okay. So I have some cheesecloth over here. Just regular cheesecloth that you buy from the fabric store or, anywhere else. I'll just, form a little pad out of it. There you go. That's the cheesecloth. And this is a piece of linen. That becomes my pad. And now what I'm going to do is open the pad up and put in a small amount of, miserly amount of alcohol in there. And then what I do is this. I start the burnishing process. Now, the most important thing is that once the pad touches the surface, it should not stop. The moment you stop it, it's going to burn that area. Okay? So here we go. I'm applying pressure and moving the pad around. The alcohol is slowly working its way to the surface of the pad.
It looks like you're applying quite a lot of pressure. Is that correct?
Yes, I am, because I want the film to move and stretch and even out.
Okay. Do you ever do straight strokes as well, or just circular motion?
Yeah, sure. You can do it this way.
Mm-hmm.
You can do S patterns.
And you're leaving no marks in the finish, correct?
No, not at all. And as I said, the pad has to move all the time. If you stop, you see that? You see that?
Uh-huh.
It sticks. It
Okay.
sticks. So you got to keep moving. And now let me show you what it looks like. So this is the place where the pad was sticking. Can you
Oh,
see it? Can you see this area?
Yeah,
can
lower
see the impression of
lower
the
the
pad.
board just a little bit to get some reflection. Lower a little bit more. There we go. Yes, I can see the pad mark. Yes.
You see that?
Yes.
Whereas over here, it's nice and smooth.
Okay, lift the board back up again. We can see the rest of it. Okay. Very nice. Boy, look at the build and the shine. That's amazing. Very nice.
Yeah. And this is only an hour's work, actually.
Yeah, it's very quickly. All right. Well, thank you very much to VJ. Big round of applause for him, please. There we go.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your knowledge and expertise with us. You
Oh, it's a
also
pleasure.
at shellacfinishes.com, you not only sell Royal Lac, but you also sell shellac flakes and other supplies, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so if anybody needs finishing supplies in the way of shellac and Royal Lac, then VJ's your guy, shellacfinishes.com. Go check him out. And I'm going to go ahead and remove VJ from the screen, and I'll just give everybody a final goodbye. Thank you again, VJ, and thank you everybody for tuning in. Greatly
Thank you,
appreciate it.
everyone. And thank you, Robbie.
All right, we'll be in touch. Thank you so much, and we're going to
Okay.
sign off. Have a great day, everybody.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.